Good morning. It's Tuesday morning. Today we read from Matthew 26:37 through 47. No, 57 through 67. Sorry. Then those who had seized Jesus led him to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders had gathered. And Peter was following him at a distance as far as the courtyard of the high priest. Going inside, he sat with the guards to see the end. Now the chief priests and the whole council were seeking false testimony against Jesus that they might put him to death. But they found none, though many false witnesses came forward. At last 2 came forward and said, "This man said, 'I am able to destroy the temple of God and to rebuild it in 3 days.'" And the high priest stood up and said, "Have you no answer to make? What is it that these men testify against you?" But Jesus remained silent. And the high priest said to him, "I adjure you by the living God, tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God." And Jesus said to him, "You have said so. But I tell you, from now on you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his robes and said, "He has uttered blasphemy. What further witnesses do we need? You've now heard his blasphemy. What is your judgment?" They answered, "He deserves death." Then they spit in his face and struck him. And some slapped him, saying, "Prophesy to us, you Christ. Who is it that struck you?" A great deal has been written about this trial that Jesus underwent at the house of Caiaphas. And whole books have been written about how this was all illegal and wrong and violated all kinds of Jewish laws and customs, and it may have. It's kind of a human thing. You finally catch somebody, and you're like, we got him. Now what do we do? Take him somewhere and get him punished. So they took him to Caiaphas. I always thought of Caiaphas as this old man, crafty old guy with a long, scraggly beard. Caiaphas was probably about 15 years old. Caiaphas and his father-in-law, Annas, I think that's right. Maybe it's the other way around, but they used to sort of swap off being high priest. They were both in the family, and they would just trade every term. The other one would become high priest. So he wasn't very old. Nobody in the New Testament is very old, but he's an integral part of this power structure in Jerusalem, and so he's a very young man, and they've got Jesus there, and they're seeking testimony, and a lot of witnesses come forward, but nobody can say anything that's going to nail him, and then 2 witnesses come now. In the scripture, you've always got to have 2 witnesses. And if you have 2 witnesses, that's it. So 2 witnesses come forward and say, well, he said he could tear down the temple and build it again in 3 days. I think even the ancients would have recognized the difference between craziness and blasphemy. And if you want to say you can tear down a building and rebuild it in 3 days, even if it's the temple, you're crazy, but go away. So that really doesn't do it. And then Jesus starts quoting Daniel and says, well, you're going to see me coming with the clouds of heaven and sitting at the right hand of the Father and all this. And making the claim then, indirectly, but making the claim that he is divine. He is the Messiah. And that's where they say, that's blasphemy. No one can say that. No one can be that, and so you've committed blasphemy, so you deserve to die. It's a little like some author referred to thin Presbyterian tea. It's just kind of thin there, but they've got him. Their problem is, of course, that they can't put anybody to death. Only the Romans can do that, so they've got to persuade Pilate to condemn him, and Pilate just doesn't really have time for this guy, but we'll get to that in another day or so. For now, though, Caiaphas and his gang have decided that they arrested Jesus and they want to put him to death. They just got to figure out how. And so that's where we are in the story. All these are pretty human reactions. So this is how we human beings tend to behave, So if you get especially if you get with a mob of people, and somebody says, let's kill him. Everybody starts yelling, let's kill him. And even people who wouldn't ordinarily be that way will be that way. And I think all of us are human beings, and so all of us fall into that trap. So ponder that today and try to stay warm, and we will see you Wednesday morning.